all about you. Hello and welcome to the show. I am Tawnya Marie. I'm an intuitive, energy healer, empath, and clairvoyant. I use my gifts to help transform your mind, body, and emotions. Many people today find it hard not to get overwhelmed by life, so I ask you, where is your focus? Where do you hold your emotions? Has everyday life made you focus on things that are less important? Every week, I will be helping my guests identify their stressors caused by block emotions that have manifested in the body. If you're interested in being a guest, please send an email to info@tawnyamarie.com. Stay tuned for after our guest. We will be doing a mindful meditation, helping us take time out and reconnect with our breath and our body. Hello and welcome to All About You. I have another guest with me and I'm super excited. I've worked with Paula for a little bit and I am so excited so everybody can hear Paula's story. Paula, thank you for being my guest and talking about your healing journey and your amazing story. So I will stop talking and let you go.
Okay, my journey started about 10 years ago. I just got so tired I couldn't get off the sofa. So I started seeing doctors, and I was first diagnosed with depression, of course, because that's easy for them.
Right.
Then I kept going back in and kept going back in. They did some blood work and told me I was a diabetic, so I started taking a lot of medication there. But I still couldn't get off the sofa, so I kept going in. They said I had Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid disease. So they put me on Synthroid, and they start you out at about 15 milligrams, and they check your blood every 6 months. And I still couldn't get up. So every 6 months I went in, and it was still too low. So I went from 15 to 30 milligrams to 45 milligrams to 85 milligrams. But all this time you're waiting 6 months between. So I'm laying around gaining weight and really losing touch with any kind of energy at all. About 6 years into this journey, I went to San Francisco to see an endocrinologist who bumped me up to where I needed to be for medication on the thyroid. So I did start to feel better going to a professional, a better doctor in San Francisco. But I still couldn't fold a load of laundry. I couldn't blow dry my own hair. In 10 years, from 35 to 45, I just really struggled to move, to get up, to go, to do anything. I asked my doctor for a brain scan because I really felt intuitively that there was something in my head. My insurance wouldn't pay for it, so I did. And they found a brain tumor, large, bilobed, right in the middle of my forehead. It was
Could you feel it?
I had a headache. I've always had migraines, but I had the tumor, it had gotten to the point where it was so big that I got a migraine that lasted 6 months. It wouldn't go away. And I just really got to that point where I just end it because I couldn't do that pain any longer. And so that's when I asked for the MRI, and they found that tumor. So it had to come out, and the sooner the better. So I had brain surgery. They removed it. Everything went well. My head did stop hurting. I still occasionally have 2 or 3 day migraines, which I've dealt with all my life. I popped onto my Facebook feed one day, and Tawnya was talking with some people, and I joined in that conversation, and she was just, she asked me what the pain was on the side of my head. And I told her it had been there for years, about 10 years, about the same amount of time that I had been dealing with everything else. This pain around my right ear and down my neck had been constant. I'd been to see acupuncturists, chiropractors, nerve people. No one could tell me what that pain around my ear was. I'd even started poking my own self around the ear with needles, just to get some kind of relief from this pain. And she asked me what that was, and I told her I have no idea, and no, neither does anybody else. And she told me that Spirit was telling her it was I was trying to grow a new tumor, and that was generational. My mom's mom had heaped the responsibility of raising children onto her, and my mom had done the same to me. that I had raised my siblings and had an abusive childhood, and it had happened to my mom too, and that it was okay to forgive my mom for doing it to me. And it was a generational problem that we had all passed down, and that I came into this life. One of the reasons I was here was to stop this um, abuse, and I did. I raised my own daughter and son. I didn't pass it down. They didn't raise each other. They weren't hungry. They weren't cold. They were taken care of. So I did stop it in my own line. And after she told me about this, and I was able to think about it and forgive my mom, because I had had this huge anger in my soul about being so abused, uh, it went away. It went away that day. It went away. The pain that had been in my head around that right ear and down my neck went away. And it was constant. It went away in one day. And so I just wanted to tell you my testimony, that knowing the truth about what your body is doing frees you. And Tawnya gave me that truth where I could not have figured that out on my own in a million years. So, and I had tried, believe me, I had reached out for help from every aspect that I could possibly think of. And I will forever be grateful to you for giving me that key to unlock that dysfunction that took me out of that pain.
Well, you're so welcome. I know some people would ask, well, how could it be so easy for you that it only took one day to forgive?
No idea. No idea.
Do you think that you were so sick and tired of being so sick and tired and in pain that you were just like, I'm absolutely done with it, that enough was enough?
I think that hearing the truth, that who would ever think that a head could be from holding hurt and anger, when, I mean, I just never would have put those two together, that this had happened to my mother. She had passed this down to me, and where it belonged was at her feet, and she is forgiven. She had no other choice. It was what she could do then. And I don't know. I just, hearing the words that you said in those few minutes made so much sense to me. I was just so ready to hear that, the truth about why that pain was there. Now I've opened my life up, and this was maybe 6 weeks ago that you helped me. So now I'm open to everything. Everything's changing now that I understand that we have situations in our lives that are passed down, and we need, we just need help connecting the dots sometimes.
Yeah, we do. So I feel a lot of energy in your throat. We're going to go there when you were talking about it. So did you feel like you were misdiagnosed? Did you feel like, they did, it's Hashimoto, it was depression, it was this. Did you feel like you were just misdiagnosed for so many years?
Yes, and I still feel like the few medications I'm on are unnecessary. I stopped all the diabetic medication because I know that you can be a diabetic if you eat a lot of sugar. It's a choice. So I quit all of that, and the thyroid medication, I'm still taking that, and I still kind of feel like that's where I'm holding a lot of this emotion.
I can feel it.
For my mom. I feel so sorry for her, that she went through what she went through, that she passed that on to me, that it was a wasted life. I just have always felt like all the years I took care of my mom and took care of her children, I always looked at her and felt so sorry for her because she wasted her whole life, chasing things that, anyways, it was just a lot of sorrow for a life unlived, without a lot of love, not a lot of care for anything, selfishness. And, so I feel sorry for her for that. And I still carry grief and sorrow, I think, for myself and that childhood.
Right. Cause I keep hearing the words like expression, and I have like sensation on like the top of my shoulders and on my neck where I feel like there's like a lot of energy still held, where we can do things to express whatever emotion is left, if you, as you're saying, grief and sadness, you know, there's a lot of people, especially, you know, your mom was older through a time where they weren't allowed to speak, that maybe anybody watching who deals with similar parents or similar situations, I think you could help so many people with your expression on maybe the things that you had went through, but the choices that you did differently in your life, and expressing those kind of sets it free. When you were talking about the truth kind of sets you free, and knowing that. And I feel like maybe it's your time to talk about it and express, because the more I do this, the pain is, there's not as much heaviness in my throat as expressing, even if it doesn't always have to be on the stage or with people, but maybe it's going, you know, it's somebody, a friend of yours, or going to old folks home, or whatever it is, or, you know, living and just expressing. It's funny because they're using the phrase your truth, but in a sense that, you know, you weren't allowed to talk 40, 50, 60 years ago. And now we're in a time where it's as important to express ourselves. That, you know, the anger we're talking about, you know, your head trauma was held from so much anger and resentment. Well, I've seen it where, you know, people's chakras or physical elements may stem from emotions that they're holding and they're harboring, and the lack of. And I saw this especially with people in my family who held back in their throat and then got Hashimoto or thyroid because they weren't allowed to express themselves. So I feel like expression, whatever that looks like, painting, singing, you know, anything to really release whatever you may be feeling will help so many. It's like a generation thing. As you talked about not doing it with your children, you can clear so many generations and showing, because the kids, especially since I have teenagers, younger kids, that when you're in your teenage years, it feels like it's hard to express yourself because of judgment. And you feel that you're going to be criticized because you have emotions. And that's where it's so hard for people to realize that, you know, we're all human. We're just trying to figure it out, just love each other. But there's so much judgment.
Yep. Love is the only thing that really matters, is love, and loving each other and helping each other through our struggles. And especially with the teenagers, they're so confused. Hormones are so powerful.
Right.
I mean, I'm past all of that. I think that's why I was just so open to listen now, is I was, you know, kind of cuckoo when I had hormones to deal with. But you'll see too, after menopause, life gets very, very calm. Like the teenagers and those hormones, wow, they change their minds about what they think every 5 minutes. They don't know what's true. They don't know. They can't see the world from a higher perspective. It's hard. It's hard to be young now.
It is. And there's so much distraction. And I was talking about that with my energy class that I'm doing level 2, and it's all about the brain and about the mind and the body and the focus, and how your mind and your energy can heal so much. But it's sometimes very challenging to focus.
Our culture has just got it so wrong. I mean, these kids need to start out, like if these kids had started out with meditation in the morning at school and learning about energy and working with the mind, calming, staying non-judgmental. I mean, there needs to be school in that, staying non-judgmental, and forgiveness. A class about forgiveness, and a class about what really makes us healthy adults when we're older. I mean, just that one session with you, and I just see life so much different. Just, you know, because of that one key in my life, and I unlocked that in my 20s, the generational dumping, you know, that thing that we do over and over through all, you know, the habits of a family. I would have done a lot more things in my life that I'd wanted to do had I not been carrying so much anger, so much grief around with me. So unlocking that as soon as you can is so important. And I have Lots of people I'm sending to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that's, you talked about forgiveness and having these classes. You wonder why anxiety is on the rise and everybody can't figure out anxiety. And I'm like, it's pretty simple, but they've made it so not simple. And they're, and putting this on, and you mentioned it about being on prescription drugs when you don't feel like you need it. Do we need it for some things? Absolutely. For everything? I don't know. Do we? And that's why if you wouldn't have trusted yourself and said, this is what I need, we are an advocate. That's what I love about the show. It's all about you. If we have to be an advocate for our health, for our wellness, for our mind, for our body, for our soul, because if we aren't, nobody will be. And you did that. And you showed, like, I knew I was right. I knew something was going on and nobody was listening to me. And it's sad that the insurance didn't even pay for that. Did they get reimbursed when did you get reimbursed after they? Good.
Yeah. Yep. As soon as they saw it, they said, well, there's something there. We need to add dye. That's another $500. So they did pay for all of it when there was a tumor. But I had been asking eye doctors all my life, can you see in there? Is there something in my head? I knew since I was young and in college, I knew. But when I got my first migraine, I knew.
This was the second case. I had another case that was similar. And when I was doing energy work, I said, there's something in your head. She'd gone to 2 specialists, went out and had an aneurysm in her brain. And she called me and she said, thank you. Because she did exactly what you did and said, give me a scan because I know that something's wrong. Because I told her, I said, you're going to have to push. And she called me and she thanked me. She said, because if it wasn't for you, she said, it was big enough where I have to go get surgery. It would have not been good.
She would have been gone.
Yeah. And she said, thank you. And I said, well, you're welcome, but it's more of being an advocate for yourself, and, knowing the truth.
It is, but a lot of people, you need someone. I needed someone like you to say the words. Everybody's always says, well, meditate and you can figure it out. Meditate and you'll know. Do this, do that. But a lot of us are not psychic. A lot of us are not. Well, we are all psychic, but a lot of us are not connected to guides and we can't channel spirit. So just having a health scan with somebody who actually is connected, who actually knows, is a blessing. Yes.
And I think that's the greatest thing is that you trusted yourself. You trust yourself and me, because a lot of people and that's where it's unfortunately about this business, because there is a lot of scams. So people feel like, how do I know? How do I trust? I say, trust yourself. If something doesn't feel right, you don't do it. I mean, that's what we were born with. Yeah. So I love that.
Well, I've always trusted God to put in front of me what I need when I need it. And he put you in front of me that day. And I've always followed my own intuition, but I'm not psychic. I always felt like there was something in my head. It's just when there are levels of knowing, and we all need to reach out to people who know more than we do, always. And this is the first time I've reached out, really. And then I called my mom yesterday, and she was happy that I had reached out and gotten some help. And she has reached out herself and gotten some help. She needs help with paying her bills, and this is the first time she's reached out. So it goes. What I'm doing, you're doing. It's a necessary.
Is your relationship different now with her?
Yes. Yep. Because of that. Yes, definitely.
Good.
I can love her. Yeah. The sorrow, the feeling sorry is going away, and the just loving her unconditionally because she's a human being. And I know she loves me. I've always known how much she loves me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for your story and sharing. I think let's meditate a little bit. Let's just meditate. Let's do some mindful meditation. We're going to close our eyes, open up our palms to receive, and we're just going to breathe. Just kind of letting go of the day, being thankful and having so much gratitude for Paula's story, for her vulnerability to express a piece of her life that is personal so others can learn, share, and grow, and maybe get a little insight that may be going on in their life or emotions that they may be feeling. We just breathe. We just focus with our mind and our breath right on our heart, right on our center. We just have so much love inside of us that sometimes we just miss. We forget. We overlook. We get distracted. We just take this time out to breathe and fill into our chest and into our heart. Listen to our heartbeat. Breathing. Feeling your body for any aches or pains. Sometimes we get busy with life where we stop, where we don't have time to stop and feel. We just stop and breathe. Maybe you have tensions in your muscle. Just breathe into those, relax. To your mind, just envisioning your muscles or bones or joints just releasing and letting go, falling deeper into your chair. And breathe. Bringing so much light. Just envision a beautiful white light coming in and filling up your body. This energy is beautiful and it's peaceful. It's consistent. It's everlasting. It's soft. It lights us up. Feels like a warm blanket all around us. This beautiful unconditional love. We just need a moment to reconnect again with this beautiful love. This unconditional love that's in and all around us. That's always willing to lend a hand, to help, to nurture, to uplift, reignite. Just fill ourselves up with this light. We just connect within. Knowing that you can connect with this beautiful space, this unconditional love. It's rejuvenating every part of you. Just breathe it in and tingle. Feel your breath. Feel this energy. Feel this moment. And taking 3 deep, long breaths. Knowing that your connection is strong and that you are worthy of taking time out and reconnecting with yourself. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Paula, thank you so much for your words and your story and all the nice things you said about me. Thank you.
True.
I wasn't expecting that, but thank you. And you guys, if you'd like to be a guest, please send a email to info@tawnyamarie.com. Until next week with a new guest. Paula, have a wonderful day.